I was heartbroken because I was over capacity. I didn't want to get shut down by the fire department.
Yikes.
But the exciting thing for me for that was, how the fuck did somebody from Toronto do this in New York?
Yeah.
And for me, that was like a very exciting moment
It's always
in my
a
life.
big thing for anybody from Toronto to go and crush things in America. I want to talk about two things that I think you're incredible at. I think artist development, and I also want to talk about marketing.
Okay.
Okay, and I know that's the stuff that excites you.
Yes.
So let's talk about artist development.
Yeah.
How do you approach artist development?
Cool. It depends. It depends on whether you have an artist that has never released music out, or whether an artist that wants to release music out, or artist that has music out and you want to grow them and take them to the next level. For me, the biggest thing is, how good is the music, right? Well, no, it's not the biggest thing, because the first thing I look at is the audience. Some people, on an A&R perspective, some people look at it, is this music good? There was records that Fredo put out that I was like, I can't even fucking listen to this because it's not mixed properly. But he didn't give a shit. He wanted to put it out anyways. But there was an audience there. You know what I mean? So it's like, there's a consumer that genuinely likes this person because of who they are, not necessarily because of like how good a record sounds, whether it's mixed properly, whether, you know, the volumes are pitched adequately or whatever the case is. So what I'm good at, and what I have like a strength in, is understanding and recognizing somebody's audience. And once I know that, then for me, marketing is from there. It starts from there. If I don't know who your audience is, if you don't know who your audience is, then it's really hard to come up with any sort of marketing strategy. And there's many artists who are lost in that they don't know who their audience is, because they want to be this way, but then they want to be this way. They want to have this artistic direction, but then they're like I want to make music for myself. I want to make music that I enjoy. But then it's like, okay, so who is the person that's listening to this music, you know? And for me, for any artist that's watching this, it's, you need to know who you're making music for. And 90% of the time, it's people who are like you. Most people that listen to you are people who are also like you.
That's a good point.
You know, it's people who dress like you, or like to dress like you, or who consume the same things. So like when you're looking at an artist fan base, look at what the artist does, and look at and even if it is an artist that's a recluse, that doesn't do much shit, still their fan to some extent is a reflection of them. You know, so for me, it starts with the artist, but when the artist doesn't know who they are, that's the hardest thing to do, because then you also don't know who the consumer is. So you start there. You start with the consumer. You start with their habits. You start with their consumption habits. What websites do they frequent? What blogs do they go to? What space do they occupy in culture, in entertainment, in life? And are you marketing to them in those spaces? Are you getting to them where they're at? Are you trying to bring them into something completely different that they're not a part of? And if you do that too quickly, you might lose people. But if you do that right at the right time, they grow with you. You know what I mean?
Can you tell me about an example of when you did that successfully and you did it in a major way and it was really great?
I have too many examples. Like I can't even.
Because so you worked early on with Abel, The Weeknd.
We did the first show for him. Abel's I don't know, I can't say that I was the person that did that, but
for sure,
for an artist that I worked with, Abel's one example. His audience was his audience. His consumer was his consumer. They liked the lyrics to his music. They liked the visuals that he was putting out. You know what I mean? Like, it was like a reflection of who he was, you know? And then he didn't grow, he didn't become the amazing pop star, the international star that he is now. He grew to that point, and his fans, the fans that were his fans back in 2011, are still his fans now in 2025, and they've grown with him. And then there's new fans that discover him at this stage, or that like him for the artist that he is now. They might not even know House of Balloons, you know what I mean? But he's one artist that did that in an exceptional way, where his audience grew with him because they were, you know what I'm trying to say? They were him. They were a reflection of who he was. And his fans continue to become a reflection of who you are as you grow in your career, in your process.
Yeah, when you say you did the show with them, like, what was the show that you did?
Ma Club.
Lola? I did not know that.
Really?
I did not know
I mean, I worked with a team that was working with him, but yeah, I remember crying.
That's probably the most iconic show that ever took place in Toronto. One of.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Everybody was in that building.
Yeah. I have my pass. I think I have probably one of his first autographs. No, not first. One of the first autographs. Like I still have my pass that says "I love Lola" with the Mod Club.
You got to show me
with
that.
The tickets. I have the ticket. I have the pass. I have the flyer. I have literally everything framed because that show was just so epic.
Yeah, it was incredible. Like, I mean, just the FOMO of not being in that building and that it carries on for years. I still have it to this day.
You were there?
I wasn't there. No, I wasn't there.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I wasn't there.
I was responsible for the door. I let everybody in. I'm so sorry.
No. I mean, I didn't even
Oh, you weren't even there.
I don't even. I don't know. It wasn't that I was trying to get in or anything like that.
Okay,
I don't even think I was in the city, to be honest with you.
Thank God. Okay.
No. It's fine. It's totally fine. It's okay. I wasn't even in the city at that point.
He sold those tickets for $20, and they sold in 20 minutes. I remember Lamar texting at 12:20 and said tickets are sold out. 500 tickets. Crazy. He put them for sale, physicals, dropped the location, and was like, tickets are going up now, this location, at this time, 12 o'clock. By 12:20, tickets were sold. 500 tickets, all physical, nothing online, which means 500 people showed up at 12 o'clock at a location and picked up those tickets in person.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you take that as the example, right, of just how somebody was able to connect with their audience, what is it that you think that he did so exceptionally well? Because, I mean, obviously the music was incredible.
Yeah.
There was even a mystique about him at that time. He didn't show his face. Nobody even saw his face until that show.
I remember he used to go to clubs and people still didn't know what he looked like.
Yeah, nobody knew what he looked like. Yeah, I actually remember seeing him at a club one time, and that was when he was just starting to show his face. And I remember seeing him there with a bunch of people, and I was just like, that's the Weeknd. Yeah, but nobody knows that's the Weeknd. I'm like, that's crazy. What is it that you saw there that would, like, why did that connection happen and so fast? And like, what was it there in terms of that marketing?
I mean, it happened. It wasn't too fast. Like he was doing. I think he did a tour with Florence and the Machine, and then he went on his own tour in the U.S. and he was like doing the right rooms. He was going out and performing for people. Yeah. Which a lot of artists don't do. So it wasn't like internet marketing where you're just putting assets out and that's it. It was like, and he created a hype. He had Thursday, and there was like projects that were dropping where anticipation was built. Yeah. For those projects. And then he went on tour and performed those projects. And the music were just so good that people were anticipating it. You know what I mean? I feel like I don't think that anybody has created that type of anticipation for a project since.
Hard to say.
Yeah.
It's funny how people call it a trilogy. Like, I think of it as separate albums still to this day. Like House of Balloons,
for me it was,
Thursday.
Echoes of Silence. Yeah. So but it, I think, is a trilogy after the fact. At the time, it was the projects.
Yeah, they were projects.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that even more. Artist development and going and performing. How important is it to go on the road and make sure you build up?
I mean, it's so important because it's like, I feel like that is how you build, and that's how people connect with you. Like, I know that now, the reason why Kai and all these other streamers are so impactful is because people see personality. People get to be able to see who they are, how they behave, the things that they like. They get to know them. When an artist is going on the road, you get to connect with the person you're a fan of, right? And so I think that it's important. It's important for people to also hear the music live so that they can be a fan of it. Like, I haven't heard anything exciting about tour. I mean, yes, there's tours that are super exciting, but like the most recent tour I can think of, where I don't want to say I had FOMO, but it was like a lot of people I knew were in the room, was Cleo Soul. Yeah. And everybody's talking about my girl.
The Radio City show in New York.
The 3 Radio City shows in New York. And it's crazy. This artist has 500 at the time. When I remember looking at her Instagram, she had 500,000 followers on Instagram, and she sold out 3 shows back to back at Radio City Music Hall, which for everybody, I think that's a 5,000 capacity venue.
It is. That's Madison Square Garden, basically.
Yeah. It's a smaller room at MSG. Yeah. Oh no.
No. I mean, like the size of it. It's 15,000 people.
15,000.
You can sell a MSG if you wanted to.
Yeah. So, to me, it's like, that was a show that I think maybe it was because the people that went created a lot of anticipation for it, or, I didn't go, so I can't say how good it was, but that's one artist that created, because the show was so good and because people truly enjoyed going there, their echoes of that experience are now creating even more new fans, where they're like, holy shit, I gotta go see this artist perform live. Whether I knew her music or not, whether I know anything about her or not, I gotta go fuck with this artist. Because everybody I know is at this fucking show. Like, I know people that are like, older than me even, who are like, I don't go out for shit, but this was like my favorite experience. And so to me, it's like, doing a show, you're just building an audience, but it's got to be the right. You got to know, like, it's got to be the right show. The performance has to be good, and it's okay to try. It's okay to like figure it out along the way. But when an artist has it at least somewhat figured out, like, I know what my show is going to look like, you build a legacy. You build fans that way. Kehlani's a perfect example of that too. When I did her first show in Toronto in 2014 as well. That's how I know. I knew David because David had Above Ground. He was doing parties as well in the Bay. And
shout out to David Ali. I was literally just talking to him today.
Incredible person. But so like she's been touring ever since the first project she dropped. Ever since the show that we did together in 2014, I have seen she has been on the road consistently, and now she's doing 15,000 cabs plus. I think on the last tour that she did, right?
Yep.
So it's like, you know, you just build. Never mind income. That a lot of artists don't even forget about the fact that there's income in building out your live show, right? Like people think that, okay, streaming is where my revenue is going to come from. And if you're signed, technically that's not where your revenue is coming from, right? So it's like merchandise and touring. Most artists don't really think about how to build out their music as a business. They really just think about putting music out and becoming popular, and that's really it. And I think going on the road also builds your business. Yeah. So it builds a foundation for people to say, I saw this. Like I still have tickets to half the shows I went to. You know what I mean? When tickets mattered. So it's like you remember the experience, you remember the artist, you remember, you know, what that felt like, and you become a fan. And so, you know, a lot of the artists that are still successful to this day is because they're constantly on the road and because they're constantly touring. Incredibly
important as well in that note is don't skip any steps, right?
No,
so like if you can go, she's a perfect example. She did Radio City, did 15,000 tickets.
Yeah.
You could do Madison Square Garden, but if you do Madison Square Garden, the experience is different.
The experience
and nobody gets
really
to experience that. There's people in the room who were there. They feel like now they're kind of part of this club.
No,
that was there.
Part, but that's what when we're talking about Abel too. Like when you're like talking about how did he do it right? Like he sold 500 tickets in 20 minutes. He could have gone to a bigger venue. He could have gone to Phoenix
easily,
right? But no,
would have
that
been
experience. Would it have been a mistake? I don't know, but the experience would not have been the same for those fans that were in that room that were like, this is never happening again. You know what I mean? So I think that
and you know it's never gonna happen again. That's the thing. There's a feeling in the room when that happens.
That you're like, this is wow, this is an experience of a lifetime.
Yeah.
And so for me, shows, and I mean, I'm also passionate about shows because I produce concerts myself. So the feeling that you get when you see the artist go in front of a stage and you hear them singing. I did Trinidad James in New York. So my my Santos Party House show with Trinidad was, I don't want to say equivalent to Abel, obviously, but for New York, if you lived in New York at the time, this was a show that it was like everybody was trying to get into. I mean, I was over capacity. I had to sneak in Kevin Lyles. I had to sneak in Action Bronson, A$AP Rocky. I had to sneak in literally everybody to the show because it was over capacity. And Santos Party House was a 350 cap venue. I had done a lot of concerts at the time there in 2012, and I did Trinidad James. And it was fucking bananas. I literally met with every label because he signed at Def Jam the day after my show.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I met with every label after that, and the conversations were, how did you do this? Like, how the fuck did you break this artist off of one record? Anyways, he did All Gold Everything 4 times that night. There's literally videos of him just continuously doing it. He was performing off the fucking counters. He was performing all over the place. And there's nothing like that energy. Like, I still watch those videos and I still get like chills of remembering those shows. You know what I mean? And that show's never gonna come back again.
Right.
That's a once in a lifetime.
But let's answer that question. How did you do that? How did you sell 350
I invited
tickets
the right people.
In New York? By the way, him not being from New York, off of one record, essentially.
Correct. You build anticipation. I also invited all the right people. Like, I know, even with my first show with Sean, I gave half the tickets because I was inviting people that I wanted to come to the concert. Like, I gave away so many tickets. Same thing with French too. I gave away tickets. I wanted to have the right people there because it matters, because that's word of mouth. Those are the people that, same thing with what I'm talking about the Clio Soul shows. The right people are at the show. Now, whether they purchased tickets, they were comped, I don't know, but the right people are at the show. And those people become your promoters. Those people become the people that are talking about you having a good show. And then they go out and let their followers or peers or whatever it is know, and now you're creating a demand. So for me with Trinidad, it was having the right people in the room. I invited anybody and everybody. I sold tickets for $5. I partnered with Complex, and I had to refund people. It was so fucking sad. I was heartbroken because I was over capacity. I didn't want to get shut down by the fire department.
Yikes.
But the exciting thing for me for that was, how the fuck did somebody from Toronto do this in New York?
Yeah.
And for me, that was like a very exciting moment.
It's always
in my
a
life.
big thing for anybody from Toronto to go and crush things in America. I mean, it's just a reality for us.
I mean, I had done Ferg's first show at SOBs prior to that show with Trinidad. And I did Dej Loaf, and she brought out the Locks and Remy right after Remy had come home from jail. And that was my show too. And it was crazy. But the way that Trinidad just shut down, like the way that that show created a moment, it was just like, I remember reading recently a Rolling Stone piece about it, and I was like, damn, yeah, that was it. It was like, if you lived in New York at the time, you knew this show was a show to be, kind of thing. And I was like, damn, that's amazing that, that's still out there.